In the obscurity of Asylum Blackwood lie records chronicling tales of fractured minds and disturbing secrets. Among these, the case of Henry Whitaker stands out. A hero of the First World War, Henry returned home with more than the scars of battle. Something followed him from the horrors of the trenches, something that seemed to transcend human comprehension. Henry was born in Sheffield, England, an industrial city defined by the relentless rhythm of its factories. The son of a blacksmith, he grew up amidst soot and the sound of hammers shaping molten metal. A life of hard work and discipline forged a determined character, but also made him susceptible to the allure of glory. When the First World War broke out in 1914, Henry was among the first to enlist, believing the conflict would be brief and heroic. As a sergeant in the 2nd Battalion of the Yorkshire Regiment, he led men through the ravaged fields of Europe. At the Battle of the Somme in 1916, Henry faced unimaginable horrors. Poisonous gas, relentless explosions, and the echoes of screams surrounded him. Amidst the chaos, he witnessed something unexplainable, a hooded figure walking unscathed among the dead, collecting what he described as souls. This glimpse marked the beginning of his descent into the abyss. Returning to Sheffield after months in a field hospital, Henry was no longer the same man. Edith, his wife, described him as apathetic, tormented by nightmares and violent outbursts. The breaking point came when he attacked a local pastor during a service, claiming the man was full of worms and rot. Unable to cope with his behavior, Edith committed him to Asylum Blackwood in 1917. Upon being admitted to the asylum, Henry exhibited symptoms that the medical community of the time classified as war neurosis, now recognized as severe post-traumatic stress disorder. He reported visions of a hooded figure that had pursued him since the war, as well as hearing whispers in unknown languages. A recurring behavior involved carving geometric symbols into surfaces, walls, sheets, and even his own skin. In the initial months, medical reports described a combination of delusions and apathy. However, the asylum's director, Dr. Reginald Blackwood, considered Henry a singular case. Dr. Blackwood, known for his unorthodox methods, believed the human mind held unexplored layers he referred to as the root of the soul. To access these layers, he employed deep hypnosis combined with applications of electric shocks. The early treatments were meticulously documented. Henry was sedated and subjected to sessions lasting between 30 and 50 minutes. During one such session, after approximately 20 minutes in a trance, he began speaking fluent Latin. The words were accompanied by screams that echoed through the corridors. "Close the eyes of the darkness before they see us." This episode left a profound impression on the medical team. Some nurses refused to remain present during subsequent sessions, claiming Henry's screams seemed to summon something beyond their understanding. Dr. Blackwood, however, saw this behavior as progress. He interpreted the Latin as a primal language emerging from Henry's subconscious, a manifestation of his psyche attempting to free itself from trauma. The team, comprising doctors and students, meticulously recorded every word and reaction from the patient, searching for patterns that could indicate therapeutic advancements. Meanwhile, Henry's behavior outside the sessions grew increasingly alarming. He insisted there was a portal in his room, a space where shadows took form and the hooded figure awaited. He refused to eat, claiming the food offered was contaminated, not by poison, but by the bones of the dead. He would spend hours staring at the walls, murmuring phrases that other patients couldn't understand but which seemed to unsettle them deeply. Attendants began noticing strange occurrences around Henry. Doors that should have been locked opened on their own, lights flickered without apparent cause. Some reported hearing chants, resembling laments or religious hymns, emanating from the corridor where Henry was housed. One nurse claimed to have seen a shadowy figure reflected in a window, but when she turned around, no one was there. The accounts from patients near Henry's cell were equally disturbing. An elderly man named Arthur, institutionalized for recurring hallucinations, began screaming incessantly during the night. He claimed to hear footsteps coming from Henry's cell, light, yet relentless. On another night, a patient known for her calm demeanor, Mrs. Harrington, was found in a state of panic. She insisted she had seen Henry's eyes through the wall, even though his cell door was locked. Dr. Blackwood decided to intensify the treatment, convinced he was close to uncovering something extraordinary. During an unusually long session, Henry went into convulsions after repeatedly shouting, They watch us through the eyes that never close. He was brought out of the trance but remained unconscious for hours. Upon waking, his first action was to scratch eyes onto every surface within reach, hundreds of them, each unique yet disturbingly detailed, as if he had memorized them. Henry's mental deterioration coincided with rising tension within the asylum. Staff began requesting transfers to other wings, claiming to feel watched whenever they passed by his corridor. Patients near his cell started displaying unusual behaviors, screaming during the night, reporting footsteps, and, in one instance, a man insisted there was someone under his bed, though nothing was found. The most unsettling events, however, occurred during night inspections. Attendants reported hearing whispers coming from Henry's cell, even when he was sedated. On certain nights, shadows were seen moving beneath his door, projected by the faint corridor light. One of the most experienced staff members, Nurse Agnes, swore she felt a presence in the air whenever she passed by his wing. "It's not him," she would murmur softly. "It's something that came with him. Something that shouldn't be here." In his final days, Henry spoke very little. He avoided eye contact, muttering to himself and refusing to sleep. On a September morning in 1918, the attending staff found him dead. He had tied his bedsheets around his neck and hanged himself. The walls were covered with drawings of human eyes, made with his own blood. The most disturbing detail was that all the eyes were fixated on a single point on the ceiling. When doctors investigated the ceiling, they found a small hole. The asylum's official report did not describe what was found there, but unofficial documents suggest that Dr. Blackwood ordered the room sealed and the hole blocked that same day. Henry's death did not bring an end to the strange events. For weeks, attendants reported hearing sounds from the empty cell, faint footsteps, murmurs, and, on some nights, what seemed like the scraping of claws against the walls. A month after his death, the room was officially decommissioned and never used again. Henry Whitaker is gone, but what he saw may not be. Every story from Asylum Blackwood is another piece of a puzzle you might not want to complete. Subscribe and share your theories, because in the end, Henry's eyes may not just linger on the asylum's walls, but somewhere much closer. What truly happened at Asylum Blackwood during those days remains shrouded in mystery. The accounts, scattered and fragmented, suggest that Henry opened a door that should never have been touched. What came through might be something beyond human explanation, something that watches, waits, and never forgets. Some secrets are meant to stay buried. But as Henry once said, not everything buried stays dead. Asylum Blackwood knows you now. You've stepped through the gates of curiosity, and they only close from the inside. Subscribe if you dare, but understand this: every story you hear won't set you free. It will only take you deeper. Share your theories, if you're brave enough to face what your mind might uncover. Because, in the end, perhaps what you've seen isn't just about Henry Whitaker, it's about you. Asylum Blackwood never lets you go. Even when the video ends, it remains, like a shadow, always there.